Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I want to thank everybody that's joining us for the first time on X, on Instagram, on Rumble. First timers, appreciate you coming on. I didn't realize how complicated hooking all of that up is, but it's insanely complicated because there's a million passwords, and our good friend Daron has been just fantastic about helping us out. So welcome. We're glad you're all here, and we're gonna just jump right into something. So something happened to me the other day, and I'm wondering if this happened to anybody else out there. Have you ever run over anything in your car?
Do
you mean
what?
I did.
An animal.
I ran over,
not like a stick. Like
no,
have you ever run over?
I ran over a squirrel on Las Virgenes.
You did.
Yeah, my 914 Porsche in probably 1975.
Yeah.
I was going, not speeding, I was going like 50, and this little squirrel ran out. And I went thump, thump. I stopped my car. I backed up. I got out, and it was dead. And I feed squirrels. I have squirrel friends in my trees. And so, and it bothers me to this day.
I know you're a squirrel nut, pardon the pun, George.
But I hit a dog once. I didn't run it over.
You ran over a dog once?
No, I didn't run it over, but it ran out, and I slammed on the brakes, and it hit my car, and it spun around, and then it just kept running. So I know it was fine.
Yeah, I see. Out here in Florida, it's a lot like Jurassic Park. There's a lot of weird animals running around, gators and iguanas and birds that look like pterodactyls, and it's crazy. But I saw it the other day. I saw something get hit, and I just absolutely it ruined my week. I just felt so bad for this animal, just trying to do its thing. Boom! I was like, God dang it! And it's got to go home later. And
you want to hear the saddest?
The what?
The saddest for me. You just reminded me. You've been over I feed the squirrels. They come down from the trees. I have a patio out on the side. I was feeding this one squirrel that would cross the street, and I live in a very no cars residential street, except now and then slowly. So it used to come over and tap me, take its peanuts, and go across the street, and it always bothered me. But
take its what? Take its
peanuts? Goes across the street, and it always bothered me.
Did you say take its penis?
Peanuts, and
peanuts.
So it came over. I gave it a peanut. And a friend was with me, and he saw it ran across this squirrel for about 2 years. It ran across the street, and this old lady comes down my street in a car, and wasn't speeding. Had no idea. And I went, no. And she just went, ta-tum.
Yeah.
And I walked out, and it was in its death throes, and it was a little squirrel that I fed for a big squirrel, it's a mother squirrel, but I fed it for 2 years, and I saw it happen. So
Mark, is this the one that used to feed with your hand? It would come up and take it out.
Yes, this is probably about 8 years ago. I used to feed it with my hand.
Hang on, guys. My Wi-Fi is a little blurry today. I don't know what's going on. Bear with us. It's been weird. Sorry about that. Sorry, there's nothing I could do about it. I called in today. Hopefully it'll go better as the show goes on. But a woman, Judy, said she hit cattle.
They couldn't steer. That's why.
Oh, George.
I'll tell you a story. I see turtles get squashed. I first came here about 2 years ago, and I was driving down the block, and I saw like this round thing in the gutter. And I thought, what is that? I thought, oh, it's a turtle. And there was like a swamp right there. Well, I'm going to go pick up this turtle, and I'm going to go save it. And it was about big, half of my, it was big, about half of my torso was big. And it was all tucked in. And I picked it up, and I was walking towards the swamp, and it looked at me, and its head started coming out of its shell and kept coming out.
Oh.
And didn't know it was alive and didn't stop. And it came out and turned towards me and was going to bite me. and I threw it into the swamp. I thought, you son of a bee, trying to save your ass, and you're going to try to bite me, right? So
You should have taken it to the Shell station. You could have had it fixed up at the Shell station.
Oh God, George.
For people who don't know,
here,
George has a mental disease.
Was he shell shocked? Very good, Kathy Faust. Excellent.
He has to do constant puns, and it is really a diagnosed mental deficiency.
By the way, if you notice Mark Jones's head, we said, Mark, before we came on, that your head's a little shiny. So he went and he put baking powder on his head.
I don't know if it worked, but yes, I did.
It's so ridiculous.
I think it wasn't. They just said for me to do that to make fun of me. And watch me do it.
Mark, I'll tell you. Pun night. Oh, it's a pun night. Yes, Debbie Shanahan. Excellent. Another pun. I was driving. I used to live in Laurel Canyon in Hollywood Hills, and you'll know this name, Mark. I was leaving, and up in the street where I used to live, it was very, very, very dark. It was like no street lights. It was a lot of trees, and I saw a couple walking on one side, and I made sure that I wasn't going to hit them. And as I looked back towards the road, I heard boom, boom, boom.
No.
I said, "What the hell?" And I stopped my car and I got out. Dom Belisarius, remember the name Dom Belisarius?
You mean Belisario?
Dom Belisarius,
The writer, producer, yeah,
big producer. I ran over his standard poodle.
Oh no!
I ran it over, and the thing got up, and I ran it over. I went all fours over this animal, and it was like a cocoa colored. And he got up, went over to, and I said, "Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so." They said, "No. It was off a leash. He was off the leash." And
terrible.
I'm not. Listen, the dog was off the leash. I don't care. That's their business. Anyway, the next day I went back and checked on him. He was fine.
Oh, thank you.
But it was very traumatic. Hey, Billy Huffsey. No way. Billy Huffsey just chimed in. Wow. Billy Huffsey's an old I won't tell the story, Billy. Billy was in the show. Billy was in the show Fame. Billy's one of the best looking guys you'll ever see. Great guy. I've known him I don't even know how, 40 years. And he's married. He lives down here in Florida. I saw him, George, when we did the one-man show in Fort Myers.
Oh yeah.
That was Billy. Came up there. That's so good guy. Yeah. Fame, great show. And Billy Billy's a square guy. I really like Billy. Thanks for coming on, Billy. I really appreciate it. We should you know what we should do next time? We should get Billy on.
He was the guy that was heckling you on that show.
No.
Actually, Scott, you told us just before we started the show you hated Billy.
I hated Billy Huffsey. Yeah. I hate Billy Huffsey. No, I love Billy Huffsey. He knows my brother, and he's a good dude. So anyway, back to so tell us, guys, what have you run over? What have you run in Australia? You ever hit a kangaroo? Anybody? Ever? There was somebody from Australia. You ever hit a wallaby? By the way, what's the difference between a wallaby and a kangaroo?
I bet there is. I don't know, but they'll know.
Nobody knows? Okay. Anyway, I felt bad for these animals, and then I had a thought, and I ran it past my daughter, and I thought it was a pretty good thought. People are so against fur that I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could pick up all the dead possums and squirrels and make jackets out of them and sell them and call it roadkill?
I don't like that idea. I'm an animal lover. Well, I'll tell you why. Because the fact that you're carrying a dead animal's skin on you, it's kind of disrespectful to the animals. They should be left in nature, even if they get killed. I don't know.
Are your shoes made of leather? Are your shoes made of leather?
Are mine?
Are your Stan Smith sneakers made of leather?
No, they're actually not. They're
No, do you have Stan Smith sneakers?
I do have a pair. Yes. No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should never kill an animal. No, I'm just saying when you kill it, they kill the cows to eat and they use the leather.
I didn't kill the. I didn't kill the roadkill.
You don't kill minks and stuff for anything but to make a coat. So
that's my point. The animal's dead.
Well, I know, but then what you would do is you couldn't find enough roadkill, so you'd have to start growing squirrels and killing them, and if people like the coats.
Duke says no on the roadkill. I know Duke. I know Duke. He's a good dude. Anyway, all right. I think we killed the roadkill. I think we're getting done with the roadkill.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah. So and I don't know if this has happened to anybody else. You guys could tell me in the comments. For some reason, like in the past, I don't know, year, I've gotten in touch with just happenstance with like really, really old friends of mine, like guys I haven't seen in 50 years or talked to in 50 years. What's George doing?
My brother has this really fancy. I'm at my brother's house, and you turn the gas on and you light it, but the gas ran out. So now I can't smoke. I got this great cigar, and he's not. I need another lighter.
I always have a backup lighter. You want to borrow mine?
Thank you.
No, I always have matches too for this because that always happens, George.
Anyway, so so I've been gotten in touch with these. Ta Kasky says I hit bugs. My windshield looks like a batch of bugs. I just drove across the state from one end of Florida to the other. My car was white. It was black with bugs. It was disgusting. Anyway, so I happened to get in touch with a bunch of old friends of mine. Anybody out there like all of a sudden just randomly connected with some older friends? George, Mark, anybody online?
None of my old friends ever want to talk to me again. So no, I don't. I've been here all my life in California. So any old friend, I don't recall recently bumping into. I would like to, like people from high school that you lose touch with after. I would recognize some of them, but I can't say that I have.
I have a friend. His name is Alfred. He was one of my best friends when I went to high school for a minute. He was a good guy, and I talk to him every once in a while, and he says, "Hey, do you know I still talk to Joey so and so?" And I went, "You're kidding!" And this is a guy I haven't spoken to in 50 years. And I said, "You're kidding!" I said, "Well, give him my number." And he called me. And it was, and just the strangest, it was so comfortable. It was like nothing had happened. It's like we had seen each other for the last 50 years. It was like no time had passed. And we just started shooting the breeze. But this was the guy, I'll tell you, this is the neighborhood that I grew up in. He and I were walking. How about that? I'll tell you who this guy is. If you saw the movie Saturday Night Fever, his father owned the hardware store that Travolta worked in Saturday Night Fever. Wow. That's and he was like my best friend. He was a little bit older than me. He had a car. He would drive me around. We got in an accident once. I think I cut my forehead or something. But anyway, so he and I were walking home. What?
What'd you hit? The windshield, the dashboard?
Who remembers? He told me I hit something. He told me he hit something, and I was like, yeah, I kind of remember. But anyway, so he and I, this is a true story. He and I were walking home one day, and we were coming to my block, and on the corner of my block, and my house was at the other end at the end of the block, there was a van, and Deborah David, yes, I met a friend in junior high, connected 4 years ago. Yeah, it's great, right? Anyway, so as we're walking down, Joey looks in the van. It was like an old van with no. I don't think it had any side windows. It had whole windows in the back, and the doors that open like this.
The serial killer van.
The free ice cream van on the side.
Well, hang on. So he looks in the van. We keep walking. He turns to me and he says, "Hey, I think there were two bodies in that van."
Oh my God!
I was like, "What? Get out of here." And by the way, this is right before I left to go to England to do Bugsy Malone.
Oh,
so he says, "No, I'm telling you, there was two bodies in the van." So I'm like, what? He goes, come on. No, this is late at night. You know, at 9, 10 o'clock. I think it was summer. So
They're going to the body shop, probably.
Jesus. Does anybody out there find George's puns funny? Anyone?
Please. Mark hates
I find them funny. Mark Jones hates them. Does anybody, I went to St. Bernadette. Does anybody find George's puns funny?
I do.
Anyone? Come on. Just
wait.
Yes.
Chris
Butch likes it.
Yes.
Chris Lincoln likes it. Lisa likes it. Everybody Nick. No, Nick doesn't like it. Well, Nick, you're overruled. Sometimes, Michelle, yes, sometimes. George gets on a roll a lot of times and he can't stop. It's a medical condition. Mm-hmm. So
it's called whistle soup or something like that.
Something. Okay, thank you. So George, keep them coming, George. They seem to like them.
Oh,
anyway, so we're walking down. He says, look at that. Look in the van, and it looks, you know, those big those big sound blankets, those big gray, thick blankets. You've seen them. They're moving blankets. Everybody's seen a moving blanket. So it looks like those, but it looks like, it kind of looks like a body, and it's all wrapped up in these two bodies. It looks like it's wrapped up in these moving blankets.
Wow.
So he and I take off running because we're afraid. But, you know, we get about 3 houses down, and then we come back. And then we look at it again, and we run. And then we come back.
Did you run like a girl?
What?
Did you run like a girl?
I ran exactly like a girl.
Well, I just want the controversy here. I just want to, lighten it up.
So wait, no more me. Hang on, let me get to the story. So now we don't know what to do. I go and get my brother, and he comes out, and me and Joey are standing there. My brother looks in, he goes, wow. Looks in, and he says, wow, these look like dead bodies. So he opens the door. And the smell that came out, oh my God. So then my brother, who's a little wild, goes and grabs a stick. And he starts poking them to see if their bodies, but they're hard because of rigor mortis.
Oh my God.
And now the whole block is out, and here come the cops, and the cops go in the van, and they unwrap it, and sure enough, it's 2 guys shot in the head. Oh. It was a mafia thing, and Joey and I were like, it was kind of like Stand By Me, where they're looking for the dead body, right? And that's kind of like, it was like The Sopranos. I mean, that's kind of what this was like. But it was exciting. You know, I was 13 years old, like, oh man, there's a dead body in the block. Holy crap, this is the greatest thing ever. But that's my story with Joey, and we reconnected, and then to tell you how small a world it is, I don't know really where Joey lives, so my daughter is going to go to college in Rhode Island, and I tell him we're going to come up there for a visit. He says, I live here.
Wow.
It's like, what do you mean? He said, I live in Rhode Island. So you're joking. And we went up there and I saw him, and I hadn't seen him in 50 years, literally 50 years. Anyway,
nobody cares about that, but
what? Yes, they do.
Nobody cares about that.
Come on. That was a good story, man. That was a real story. That's the story out of a damn movie. By the way, everybody go watch Nona's with Vince Vaughn. Excellent.
I haven't seen it.
So,
all right.
Hanging out with Joey, when I was up in Rhode Island, Anna Maria, Bailey is feeling better. Thank you. Bailey had a golf tournament last weekend, and she got heat exhaustion. So so I pulled her out. She was, I don't know if you people play. Anyway, she was playing wonderfully, and all of a sudden she just went completely off the rails. And I looked at her. She was, and so I talked to my wife. I said, "No, what's wrong with her?" She said, "Maybe she's heat exhaustion because guys don't know about that stuff." And anyway, that's what it was. And then I'll tell. Okay, let me tell you another. Deborah also lives in Rhode Island. Nice. I'll tell you another guy. I'm doing a lot of talking today. I have a lot of stuff I haven't talked about. I'll tell you. So my friend Alfred hooked me up with another guy from the year I went to high school. His name was Thomas. I don't want to give his last name. Who's got 3 sons who were baseball players, and he helped me with some college issues and things like that. But do you guys know how you remember one thing about somebody? I mean, you know them. But you remember one thing that's like really weird? Anybody? George, go.
Well, no, I mean, when I meet people, I thought you meant when you meet people,
No.
You always go to one memory, the same memory all the time of them. It actually gets old when you bring it up to them. But I have friends, we just revert back to whatever happened in high school and start laughing about the same thing that's now decades old.
But what was it?
Well, it depends on the person. There were people that, we would make fun of the same teachers or classes we were in, and if they had strange names or one time. The other thing I remember, this is stupid, but one of my teachers in high school was reading something, and it was supposed to say Nova Scotia, and he said Nova Scotia, and that just became the thing that we would laugh about with him.
Yeah, I get it. But my friend Thomas would do something, and I told him about it, and he said, "You're kidding? I did it." I said, "No, man, you did it." And what he would do was, you would hear it, and it was just, you would hear this, like when you suck your nose in.
Oh, okay.
And he would blow one snot on your desk.
Oh my God. That's disgusting.
Okay, I guess we're done now with this podcast.
But this is, Mark, these are what men do. This
I don't know. Maybe
boys
I've
do.
never been a real man. I know I hate toilet humor. I hate stuff like that. But these guys love it, so I just listen.
I like toilet. Anyway, okay. Off of that, I just wanted to tell those stories because they're funny. And then as you talk to old friends, you start thinking about things that you did, and it was gross. It was disgusting.
I think Facebook.
It was gross.
Is the easiest way, because when I think about it, once you leave high school and you don't stay friends, you guys go into different careers, different paths.
Right.
The only place you do reconnect from old people, I've actually reconnected a Facebook friend, old girlfriends from the 80s, and a couple of guys from high school. But you know what? You kind of chat for a couple of times, and then it all goes away anyway. But yeah, Facebook is actually probably the best place to, and every now and then late at night, I have a few drinks. I look up people and I never can find them.
Yeah, anyway.
But you're funny. You come in and you say, I found this girl I dated in high school, and they go, she's like 60 something years old. I go, well, so are you. It's like, people age at the same time. Yeah,
you forget, because remember my first girlfriend, Lyndon, I won't give her last name. Yeah. In Taft High School, my first crush. We adored each other. After high school, she went off. I went off. I have no idea. She's a beautiful little redhead, and she used to make movies with me. I'd make little home movies. She used to help me make movies. I always wanted to be a movie director and stuff. And she went off. Never ever heard about it. And I'm wondering how cool. We were the first loves of each other. To find her, and then someone said, she's a year younger than me. And that's what I said. Oh, she's an old lady. I don't want to hear. But I would still love to talk. I mean,
of course.
I'm an old man now, but yeah, that intrigues me, because my last memory is her and I in my Mustang driving around with KHJ radio in Los Angeles. So I would love to do that.
Lisa Russell Hazen is a beautiful little redhead. See how you meet people? You never know.
Wait, I think that's it, Lisa. You changed your name, didn't you?
You never know, But anyway, in walking around with him and talking to Joey when I was in Rhode Island, it reminded me of like, did you guys in LA have like candy stores? Did you have candy stores?
We went to like 7-Eleven when we were kids. We had 7-Elevens.
Yeah, but the dedicated candy store that's just candy and all types of licorice.
I think that's an East Coast. I grew up in California. Never just a candy store. It's like, didn't you guys in Brooklyn, you had dedicated candy stores from the old school?
Yes. And Ohio too, George? You have them in Ohio?
Yes, yeah. There's specialty places here that do. There's a lot of local chocolate that's great. There's a couple.
So that's why people are heavier back east.
No, but a candy store was basically, it was magazines, candy, and a counter, and you could get egg creams, which was vanilla syrup, and seltzer, and that was like the greatest. And they had a pinball machine.
That's got to be like an East Coast or a Brooklyn where you grew up, because that's old.
I mean, they have candy stores now, like in malls and stuff, but it's not like.
Yeah, that's fancy candies. Really, they have at the liquor store next to our cigar lounge. They have racks and racks of every kind of candy. You know.
Somebody was at a Philadelphia car show. Yeah, we'll get back to that. Okay. I got caught. My friend Richie and I got caught stealing in a candy store.
Really?
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
No, you know who caught us? Who do you think caught us? Who do you think caught us?
A cop.
A cop. A cop caught me and my friend Richie stealing candy in a candy store, and it was in retrospect it was absolutely copped up. The cop must have thought there was something wrong with us, because we were trying to be tough guys with him, and he was laughing at us. But we were in the candy store. There was a counter, and there was the window to the outside there, and the guy was standing over there. So Richie moved me to block from the owner, and he starts shoving candy down his pants. And he does the typical, "Thank you very much. See you later." And we go outside. There's a cop standing there. He says, "What do you got in your pants?" And Richie starts making fun. "What are you doing? What's in my pants? What's wrong with you? What do you mean, what's in my pants?" And I'm like, "Oh God, Richie, please." And he's nothing in my pants. And the cop the cop kicked Richie in his ass, and like 25 candy bars fell on the floor. He said, "Get the hell out of here." But that's what you did.
Today the cop would go to jail, but in those days they could do that.
So he didn't make you apologize or return the candy or anything?
George, we were 11, 10, and we thought we were cool. And he just says, "Get the hell out of here." I never stole again. I tell you, I never stole from that candy store again. So I was like, but Richie was a little bit crazy. So I have Joan Sclafani. Oh no, I know a Sclafani. I had 2 emails here I wanted to read, if you don't mind. I'm kind of talking about a woman named Holly Meehan wrote, she remembers when I wore a red bandana around my leg and wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and she can't find the episode. It wasn't an episode, it was a whole year. Holly, you have to go on Google and type in Chachi with a bandana on his leg, and I did it today, and you'll find it.
Scott, you're wearing one on your leg now. Show them.
Yeah, I have it tattooed.
I remember when you worked at Arnold's or something. Didn't you work at Arnold's? And
yes.
I do remember.
Yeah, but I don't know where that came from. But by the way, Mikey did not die from Pop Rocks. Is that the urban legend? You remember Mikey? He'll eat anything.
You mean the commercial?
Yeah, remember, don't give it to Mikey. He hates it. He won't eat it.
Yeah, it was a life cereal commercial.
No, I don't think he
didn't die from Pop Rocks.
No,
I remember the rumor though. I do remember.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, the leg thing, it's out there. John M., I don't know why my video is blurry. I think I have a bad connection. I think my Wi-Fi is crap tonight. I don't know. I'm sorry, folks.
They're going to fix the Wi-Fi because you're.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. But people have been asking me lately about the bandana, and I'm like, I don't know where it came from.
Remember the wardrobe girl putting it on because she would have had to.
I don't know where Wah 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 came from. I don't know where the bandana came from. I just don't know. I have no idea. And it was one of those things that became sort of famous, and people told me they would put it around their legs and whatever. That's fine if you want to do that, but not now.
Tell a story you do remember.
Wait, you had another email. You only talked about one.
Yes. Colleen and Roger Feltz wanted to know what it was like working with Dick Van Dyke on Diagnosis Murder. It was great. I regret quitting the show. I regret it deeply, and I shouldn't have done it. I did it for stupid reasons. I was offered something else at another studio, and I just, and that never came to be. So it was just dumb. I should have stayed because I like Dick and I loved his son Barry. Barry Van Dyke, one of the funniest guys on the planet, in my opinion.
You were used to the ease of shooting a half an hour multi-camera, and then you went to like a 12-hour day of what it took to do an hour show, and you didn't like that. Wasn't that part of your dissatisfaction?
It was part of the reason. It was, going in at 6 o'clock in the morning and sitting around, and I just was not used to that. I did it for 2 years, George, and I just felt creatively the show was not going anywhere, and I loved Dick Van Dyke. He was great to work with. I mean, probably the more. What?
I said everybody remembers how great the show got after you left. So that was a good part.
No kidding. But I tell you, Dick Van Dyke may be one of the most talented human beings on the planet in the entertainment business. I'm not joking. He could do anything.
Did he tell you stories between takes and stuff?
You had to. Dick was quiet.
Oh.
You had to engage him. He would tell me stories about going to work. He worked with a monkey, and every morning he would go to work and he'd have a cup of coffee and a cigarette, and the monkey would sit next to him, and he would give the monkey a cup of coffee and a cigarette, and the monkey would smoke the cigarette and drink the coffee, and things, and what it was like on the Dick Van Dyke Show, because Jerry Paris was on the Dick Van Dyke Show, who directed Happy Days. So we had to connect.
Jerry Paris was on Diagnosis Murder?
Jerry Paris was on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah, but he was the director of Diagnosis Murder or Happy Days?
No. I had a connection a little bit with Dick Van Dyke because of Jerry Paris being on the Dick Van Dyke Show. So
did Dick ever tell you stories when you were working with him about Dick Van Dyke Show? Any interesting stuff that nobody knows?
Yeah,
hard to remember.
I don't remember, but anyway, I don't. Mark, that's a good question. I don't remember, but it was he loved doing the show, and it was a great show for him to do. Obviously, and he told me that it was not successful in the first year.
I heard.
If you're aware of that,
I think they were going to cancel it.
I had no idea.
Something happened.
No, what happened was back then they really ran summer reruns.
That's right.
So during the summer they ran it, and everybody got onto it, and it became legendary show. And then the same person asked me about working with Meg Ryan on Charles in Charge.
Oh, I didn't know.
Let me go back to Dick Van Dyke for a second. Wasn't there someone that worked there that had a little bit of a balance problem, and you said that sometimes they would fall into the bushes?
Oh, that was that was a director, yes. But it had nothing to do with Dick Van Dyke. The director you worked with kept falling.
That was on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
No, that was on Diagnosis.
On Diagnosis Murder.
Oh, yeah, that's a Dick Van Dyke Show.
The director, an episode of Diagnosis Murder, there was a director who had a balancing issue, and he kept falling, and he would fall at the most inappropriate time. And he'd fall at the most inappropriate times, and I was just losing my mind. He would knock over lights and cameras, knock over the craft service table. I was talking to him. I was talking to him, and he and I were both, we were against a bush, and I was talking to him like this, and somebody called me, and I turned around and looked, I turned around, he was gone. And I thought, well, all right, that's a little rude, but I heard him talking. He fell into the bush.
You said he had some kind of problem and it didn't bother him?
Yes, but he fell into the bush and disappeared.
So he just disappeared. What was he?
The guy had a problem, and it wasn't funny, but it's hilarious. My kid think it was
Where the camera kept tilting, right?
Mark, if you'd have been there,
I would. I love that stuff.
I had a hard time working with him because it was just kept falling down. Anyway, one more.
You're laughing now.
What?
Meg Ryan.
This is really funny because you're laughing now, and that was decades.
No, it was just. It's one of the. I thought somebody was pulling a prank on me, and because he just kept falling in front of me. But anyway, it says somebody asked me about Meg Ryan. She was on Charles in Charge, and the same exact person, this bubbly, that girl, Meg Ryan. She was the same exact person. She was great too. This is 84. It's 1984.
So this is before she was Meg Ryan.
No, she was always Meg Ryan, but before she was a big star.
That's what I mean. So did you see it? Did you see it in her? Something special.
Did I see it in her? I found her to be incredibly charming, and it's so hard, Mark. It's a good question. Do you see it? On a sitcom, it goes so fast,
right?
That you don't. There's a couple of times. You blow through it so quickly that you don't really. But she was certainly unbelievably likable, just incredibly likable human being, and I think that was part of her. One of her biggest assets was she was just likable. She's just like a girl that you kind of grew up with. And then the last one somebody asked me about was Matthew Perry. He was on Charles in Charge, and I knew his dad from when I was doing commercials in New York.
Who's his dad?
He did a soap commercial. I think he did a sailor. I think his dad.
John Bennett Perry was his dad.
He did a commercial. He's kind of famous for, I thought.
Yeah.
Coast soap or Irish Spring. I think it was Irish Spring.
It was Irish Spring, but Matt was a nice guy. And again, I didn't spend that much time with him. I don't think I was in one scene with him, if I remember.
These were guest stars. These weren't regular
guest stars. Yeah.
They come in one time.
Why did the cast members change on Charles in Charge? That's a very good question.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
What happened with that show was it was on CBS, and it went 1 year and it got canceled, and then they were doing first run syndication, which was very popular at the time. But I guess I don't know what you compare it to today. And
syndication used to be for reruns.
Yeah, but they started doing first originals. They did a bunch of what, Mark?
They had about 10 years of all doing originals, and instead of showing reruns in syndication, they did originals. It lasted about 10 years. Hercules, the show I worked on, Nightman. Remember, the first run syndication was very big. Baywatch went first run syndication.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of money there. Now streaming has taken over. There's no more.
Yeah, but
go on.
It was. I don't know why. I don't know why they changed the family. I guess the people that were going to distribute it said we just wanted a family. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those. It's one I never asked, and I just figured somebody had a bug up their backside about it.
Were you upset with any of the ones that were recast? Like, did you say, I wish they would have stayed? Or
I liked the cast. I liked Jamie Widows as the dad. He became a big director.
I like the story you told me when is it Al Burton, when he came up with that idea, and he was also doing the family. What was the show with the women on it when he said, "Who should I cast in this?" And they all said, "Bale."
Facts of Life. Al Burton was. He passed away not that long time ago. A nice man. He was the executive producer. of Charles in Charge, and he was also the producer of Facts of Life. And he had this script called Charles in Charge, and he went over to those girls and told them what the show was about. And he said, "Who do you think should play this?" And they said, "Me."
Wow.
And that's kind of how it happened. But you know who else was on Charles in Charge?
Who?
I just name it right in my head. Paul Walker from Fast and Furious.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you did so many episodes that you're bound to have gotten so many guest stars that, you know, tell the story. You should take credit. He's huge, and you okayed him selling a first script, and it started his career.
Who?
2.5 Men. The creator.
I am solely responsible for Chuck Lorre's career.
Chuck Lorre, the biggest sitcom creator in the business.
Chuck Lorre created
2.5 Men.
I think he created Roseanne. I'm not. He executed Roseanne.
No, but shows on now.
Sybil Shepherd, Young Sheldon,
and the first one, the biggest one,
The Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. I mean,
he sent in a script to Charles in Charge just as a spec, and they gave it to me. And I don't remember what the story was of the script, but I liked it. I said, "Yeah, cool." And that was his first job writing in show business, and he's never hired me ever.
And you know what's funny? You know his vanity cards that he puts at the end of all his shows? He had a vanity card. I freeze it sometimes. And he said, he writes a funny one, and he said something about crediting either you or Charles. He said, my first script for Charles in Charge, he referenced that he acknowledged that was his first spec sale, and it got him in the business. You should call him. He's got a lot of money. He should give you some.
Hey, give me some money. I'm fine.
My brother filled up. Check this thing out. You have to turn the gas on.
Yeah, we don't really care, George. So anyways, we were saying.
Light it.
Oh, George. Yay.
Ed, come and say hi. My brother.
No, get your brother out. We don't want to fill in. I'll give you one more Charles in Charge story.
Oh, look, give us as many. Hey,
man. I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more story, and Mark, you'll appreciate this. So we had a script, one episode, and it was really bad, and it was just really bad. And I was what? You didn't write it, no?
Oh, I didn't write it. Okay.
But it looked like you could have written it. So anyway, I was upset. All right, so kind of lunch came around, and I stormed over to Al Burton's office, and I said, I said, "Hey, Pat Sicarius was his secretary. Hey, Pat, is he in?" She goes, "Yeah, but he's with. I'll just be a minute." And I walked in. There was a woman sitting there. I said, "Al, this is the biggest piece of crap I think I've ever read in my life. I don't know where to start with it. It's just so. It doesn't make any sense." And I went on for like 2 minutes. So that. And it's this, and it's not funny, and blah, blah, blah. And he stops and he looks at me and he says, "She wrote it."
Oh, no.
I knew you were going to go there. What did the girl do? What did she say?
She was this big in the chair. She was this big. She just shrunk. And I turned to her and I said, "Well, if you fix the second act."
Of course you did.
It might be okay.
Of course.
And she ended up being a writer on the show, and I apologized to her. I said, "Look, I'm sorry. I'm not a bully on the set. I'm not any of those things. I just hated your script." So,
she still hates you, Scott. She still hates you to this day.
So anyway,
I have an actual similar story, which is very funny, very quick. I can't mention the names.
Is it a long story?
I'll try to make it as short as I can.
Thank you.
But it's exactly the same thing, except worse. Guy comes in, the star of the show, got for second year, and he comes in to the creator, exec producer who I worked for years, and he said, this one girl, young girl, was put in the show, and she was a regular, semi-regular. And the lead actor, big guy, he said, I don't really like this girl. Why is she in? You don't need her, this and that. And the creator, exec producer said, well, I think it works or something like that. He goes, look, I'm just going to lay it out. Who the hell's sleeping with her? And the exec producer creator said, I am. And the star of the show, because the creator producer was actually had like 5 shows on the air.
Problem.
He goes, so the lead actor walked out and said, okay. Never said another word.
Mark, I thought you were going to tell the story about when you pitched something and the guy put his hand up and you high-fived him like he loved it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were in a conference room with about 15 people, and we were developing this show. And I said something about, we should do this and blah, 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 blah. And the guy, and I thought it was a brilliant idea, and the guy puts his hand up like this. And I high-fived it. I go, yeah. And he goes, no. I meant stop. I hate it. No. And I never forget it. I could tell it was Michael Wall and the show with Dirt Clods, which we never sold, but we should still sell. It was a cartoon show.
That's almost as bad as waving to somebody when they walk in the room and they don't see you.
Oh, God, yes.
Or they're looking at the person behind you. And
right. So real quick, Robbie Hoskins asks a question. How do you remember all those lines? All the dialogue?
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know. You just do it.
Can I ask about that? Because I've asked you. I'm a writer and a director, and I will write a scene, a couple of pages of dialogue. The actor, will rewrite it, revisions on the set. They'll look at it 10, 15 minutes. They come back, I set up, we do this, we do the run through. They remembered everything, timing, how to do it. I, who wrote the script, am lost. I have no idea who wrote.
That's your job, Mark.
I understand, but I'm not being, cute or anything. I really don't know how actors.
It's part of the job.
And not only just remember the dialogue, but they have to be in character. They have to do it.
That comes with the territory. Mark, honestly, God, I can't do what you do. You can't do what I do because we've seen it.
No, that's not true. You have directed.
No, I've directed, but not written. But it's just something that you acquire it. I mean, you just do it. I mean, I never had a problem with it. So I don't know. People study and stuff. Like Ellen Travolta was very bad at it. And I loved that she was bad at it because it would make me laugh a lot. But you
would do a sitcom every week, and you would run it through, do the show live like a stage play every Friday. And then the next week, we would get a new script on shoot day sometimes. Yes. And remember it.
Yeah.
And you couldn't stop. See, a film, you can stop. Somebody screws up, you stop, you go back. You guys literally had to do it like a stage play.
Yeah, you could screw up. We screwed up.
Right. But I mean, it's an art. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years. I don't understand.
Right. Let's wrap it up with we're gonna do a segment tonight about the news. Let's do some news stuff because I think there's some interesting stuff in the news, guys. So just Mark's going to read some headlines to us and tell us about some news that's going on, and we're gonna discuss it. Go ahead, go, Mark.
Are we going to run something, or are we just going to go?
No, that's later. That's when we get the topic.
Oh, okay. Well, do you mean the Menendez brothers?
The Menendez brothers, what?
Okay, just today, we've been following it. The judge ruled that instead of life without parole, these guys should be now resentenced, and I think the judge did resentence them.
All right. I know you have an opinion on this. Go, George.
On the Menendez brothers?
No. Run the bit.
I don't have a clip, I don't think, from the Menendez show.
Okay.
No, he's going to do it.
Yeah, we got to mess it up. It's live, so let's go.
All right.
The Mark Jones Minute, yeah!
Okay, I got a minute to say. Okay, so the Menendez brothers resentenced for 50 years to life, so the possibility of parole, so they can actually go to the parole board and be released, and it's likely the parole board will let them be released. And I'm saying the reason they did it is they said, well, it's the different times than the 90s, and sexual stuff, sexual assault is.
The Mark Jones minute is over.
That's our new piece, guys. What do you?
We're practicing. So you guys were
Oh,
experimenting.
come on, it's brilliant.
Okay. Anyway, but real quickly, they tried to say they were sexually molested, and it didn't work with the jury. So they got a sentence of life without parole. So why should it be changed? Because nothing changed in the.
The Mark Jones minute is over.
All right, go ahead.
There you have it.
Go ahead, Mark.
We're gonna work out the bugs, guy.
That was the Rooney bit we do. Mark, that's our new segment.
Go ahead, tell us about the Menendez brothers.
So the idea, whether they were molested or not, the jury didn't find they were. So I'm not saying they weren't. I don't personally, I don't believe they were. I think these are kind of bad guys who just were absolutely horrible, killed their parents, but they're looking for a way out. But the idea that we change sentences means nobody, now a sentence doesn't matter. You do a home invasion, you kill a family, you get life without parole. 30 years from now, the kids were 20, maybe they'll be 50, and they're going to be let out because we're going to say, we're looking at new things. I mean, that's what a jury trial and a sentence is for. So if nothing is permanent, then we lose control of society. I think they should stay in jail, and they never really. They had now admitted it, but our Hockman, our new DA, who I like very much, he's tough, and you need to be tough, which is why we have so much crime. We're not tough enough, in my opinion.
All right.
Is saying that was their sentence, and they also.
What if they really apologized and meant it?
No, they did. But here's what he said: it doesn't matter because they still lied during the trial and apologized. I'm sure they. Who won't apologize for murder?
Mark, I'm joking.
No, but that's what the family said.
I know that, but I was.
Oh, okay.
So,
I get so worked up. I'm sorry.
Listen, for me, I get you going. They should stay in jail, but you blow away your parents. You go out to your car, get more bullets, come back in the house, and shoot them some more.
Shoot her in the face.
Shoot their
mother in the face.
Yeah, and then go on a spending spree, buying Porsches and watches and cars and living it up. And I mean, I don't care how much remorse you have. That's pretty hard to overcome to say you could get parole.
Look, it's a death penalty case. They got life without parole. That was their punishment. We got to also look at the punishment. Now they say, are they a danger? You know what they're on? They're on medium danger. They're not a low risk. They're not a high risk. They're a medium risk. Why risk anything on guys who got life without parole? How many guys get out and
I agree with you. I'm totally with you.
Somebody just said, Mark, the Menendez brothers will get out in 38 years just when Mark is finishing his plan.
That's funny, Al. Hey, who's that? Who said that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got rid of it.
No. Here's what I'm worried about. They're going to get out and they're going to come look for me. They're going to say, who's that asshole?
No,
get out.
All right. Okay. What was the other story, Mark, about the plane? About the Trump plane?
Oh, okay. So Trump is getting, or they want to give Trump this incredible 747, his new plane.
This is not a Mark Jones minute, by the way. This is just
this is a good thing. Regardless of whether he should take the plane or not, it's really the plane's being given to the government and it's going to go in a museum or whatever later. My problem is the security. This was built, sure, by Boeing, but it was delivered to
Mark. Do you think the American military won't go over every single
no, of course. They put bugs and they could have put time bomb. But here's the problem.
It could be anywhere.
It will take over almost 2 years, and they have to gut the plane completely, replace all the electronics, because you could put things in the electronics that who knows, would you control the plane, you could track it. So they said it would cost about another $400 million to tear the plane apart to its skin and go over it. So what's the point? And even then, the wiring, who knows what secret stuff they can put in wiring that they might miss. Why would you let a country that's harbored terrorists deliver the presidential plane? So I think Trump is just having fun. I don't think he's going to make it his presidential
He might be having fun. He might, I didn't know the plane he was on is 40 years old.
40 years old, and they were supposed to have delivered the new 747s, but they fell behind.
I thought Obama got a new plane.
No, I think it. No, this was, I think. Well, Obama, how many years ago? Obama was
2020
years ago.
16.
No, the first.
No, 08. He was elected in 08.
I know, but he went to 16. What, George?
The replacement Air Force One, when Trump was in office the first time, he actually put that in motion, but Boeing has had some delays. This is a whole problem with why this even occurred.
Yeah, no, Trump should have had the new planes delivered. Boeing screwed up.
Yeah.
So Trump said they're going to be beautiful. I mean, they have to not only check it, they have to put secret weaponry, all the stuff that Qatar, nobody knows about. There's stuff on the Air Force. We have no idea. There's actual missiles, I heard, and there's like detour missiles. I mean, there's such electronics that you could never let Qatar.
What is weaponry?
Weaponry.
What is weaponry?
It's.
Do you mean weaponry?
Oh, did I say with the T?
Yeah. You said like a weaponry.
Yeah, I think the coffee's getting to me.
Yeah.
Yes, weaponry.
All right.
Anyway,
any other interesting news articles out there?
I don't know, unless somebody has some. They want us to I'm looking at some of these live comments, but they come by so fast.
Mark, you're putting people to sleep. Robbie Hoskins is snoozing. Well, weaponry. Yeah, thank you very much. That's how you spell weaponry. All right. Well, listen, I think we've sort of roadkilled everything.
Wait,
wait, no, this is a big thing. This is a big thing. Thank you.
More.
Robbie, Pete Rose is now allowed to be elected into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine the guy is gone, and now he gets in the Hall of Fame. One of the best baseball players to ever live, and now he gets in the Baseball Hall of Fame because he's dead. Because he can't do any more harm to the sport. I don't know what harm he was doing when he was alive. I had dinner with him one night about 20-something years ago on New Year's Eve, and remember the old Palm on Santa Monica?
You mean the one in L.A., Gigi's place next to the Troubadour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went to dinner with him, and he's exactly as you would imagine him. Just full of energy, run you over, but very nice guy. And he'll probably get in the Hall of Fame, and he's gone. He can't even enjoy it. But what a bunch of BS as far as I'm concerned. But all right, on that note, ladies and gems, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat station. And
we will be better, and the Wi-Fi will be better.
Yeah, hopefully my Wi-Fi is better. I'm sorry. I'm on Spectrum, and I don't know what the hell the problem is.
I'm Spectrum here. It's just sometimes hit or miss.
It's just spotty.
Mark, you're on the Spectrum. You know that.
I'm also on the Spectrum.
Write to us some stories that you want or some things you want to discuss. We always appreciate that because it's fun for us. So, and next week we might do something special. I'm not sure, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys so much. God bless all of you.
Bye-bye.
You see up my nose with the